Okay, back to where we left off with the bris milah. Okay, so we finished that after the bris you have this. After the bris you have sandik mu'umad. He stands, he holds the baby for the brachas, the naming, and that's you give the kid the drink. Okay, also then the guy that's holding the baby during the naming gives the baby back to the kvater, the couple that brought the baby in, and then they take the baby away. Then they say Aleinu l'shabeach. Now, why do you say Aleinu l'shabeach? So it says a reason. A second. So he says why? Because Aleinu l'shabeach is basically saying that we are different than all the other nations. They bow to idols and worshiping, we bow to one Hashem. So therefore, because Aleinu is what the Levush writes, because Aleinu talks about the separation between the Jews and the Goyim, so Bris Milah is what separates also from the non-Jews. So therefore we say Aleinu even after the Bris, even if it's not right after davening. Okay. Now, that's... Again, that's also the same thing because Jews are likened to the moon. The Goyim are likened to the sun. The Medrash says, Yisrael daimim levana, the Goyim are daimim l'shemesh. That's why they go by the solar calendar, we go by the lunar calendar. Okay? The uniqueness of the moon is up and down, the moon gets bigger, smaller, bigger. So, and again, the lunar calendar is what separates us from the rest of the nation. We use the lunar calendar. And because of that, we say Aleinu. It could be the same reason, again, why we say Aleinu after that also.
Rabbi, if you're the head of the minyan, do you say Aleinu or you wait?
You're supposed to say Aleinu with the minyan. Aleinu is a very important tefillah. It was instituted, one of the earliest tefillahs that we have. The Gemara says Aleinu l'shabeach was established by Yeshua ben Nun. Yeshua instituted Aleinu after they conquered Yericho when the walls came tumbling down, and the Rambam says it was on Shabbos. So when that miracle of Yericho happened, so Yeshua ben Nun instituted the tefillah Aleinu l'shabeach. So because it's such an important tefillah, it says in halacha, what happens you come to a shul, you already davened, and the minyan saying Aleinu, you're supposed to say Aleinu with the minyan. The only question is, different opinions, do you say only the first paragraph? Do you say both paragraphs of Aleinu? But the main thing it says you have to say the first one. If I'm not mistaken, again, I wouldn't swear to this, but this is what my memory seems to be. When the Rebbe's brother-in-law was sitting Shiva, it was in probably Tovshin Lamed Aleph, no, maybe later, I don't remember. So the Rebbe went upstairs, when the Bachmer were all at dinner, so the Rebbe went upstairs to be Menachem Avol, his brother-in-law, the Rashag, on the third floor of 770. I happened to have to learn with the kids. I ate quickly and came back, and the guy with the kid I was learning with told me the Rebbe's upstairs. So I ran upstairs. So over there, the Rebbe was Menachem Avol, him, and then the Rebbe said to him, in Yiddish, he said, you have to go daven Ma'ariv. So he got up to daven Ma'ariv, but the Rebbe didn't daven Ma'ariv with him. So during Ma'ariv, the Rebbe was looking in a sefer that was on the table there, happened to be Gesher HaChaim. The Rebbe was looking in the sefer, and I also didn't daven because we were davening the Rebbe's minyan. But I remember I was looking carefully, I was a Bachar then, so I didn't, whatever. But I was looking how much of Shema the Rebbe said. I believe he only said the first paragraph with the minyan. And then by Aleinu, if my memory holds, again, I wouldn't swear on it, the Rebbe said only the first paragraph of Aleinu. Again, I wouldn't swear by it, but that's what I seem to remember. The Rebbe said the first parasha of Shema and the first paragraph of Aleinu. What? But it's interesting though, the Rebbe, when he davened privately or for the Yomid, you saw clearly that the first paragraph of Aleinu, the Rebbe said pretty quickly. And the second paragraph, everybody saw this was, because he did, he's bit at Nachman Koyim, that was right away. And the second paragraph, Al Kein Ekav L'cha, the Rebbe said very slowly. Now that the Chazan finished Aleinu, the Rebbe was still saying it, and you saw that the second half of Aleinu, he was saying much longer than the first half. What? I'm just telling you, L'sakin ilum malchushin dalad yud, v'ya Hashem l'melech, that's whatever. So therefore, Aleinu Shabbat is a very important tefillah for minyan. Now, if you're davening and you're by the yom and the minyan says Aleinu, you don't necessarily have to say Aleinu. You're going to say it in 2 minutes anyway. Okay, now there's an interesting thing. What do you do if you have two brisin at the same time? Let's say a very practical case. Twins. You have twins. So now, if you make the two brisin together, do you double the brachas? You say one bracha for both kids? Like, what's the whole thing? So now halacha is interesting. One opinion says you don't need a separate bracha for each kid. It's not only twins. If you're doing two bris in a shul, people had the baby the same day and you're doing a bris at the same time. So one opinion says you don't need to make a bracha. Most people say, no, I'm sorry. One opinion says you need a bracha for everybody, and most people, he brings down over here, that you don't need a separate bracha for both babies. But Lepel, what we do is not like that. In fact, I myself have grandkids, boys that are twins. They had the bris the same day. And Rabbi Ezra Shochat also, Rosh Hashiva also had twins the same day. But I remember by his kids' bris, which is a long time ago. So when Rabbi Groner, Label Groner, had twins, twin boys, so the Rebbe told them they should make a break between the two brisin. So they made one bris to the older kid, and then there's a mimer that the father says at the bris Milah from Torah Betzamiyim Hazeh. So they did one bris, and then the father chazed the mimer, said the mimer, and then they did the second bris. So there was a break between the two brisin. And that's what Pascha my generally, what you should do is make a bris. Either they say something else. Don't even bring both babies at the same time. First bring one baby, and do that bris. So the second baby wasn't there, so you for sure have to make a second bracha on the bris. And that you're allowed to do, and that's usually what's done. Okay, good. Now, what happens if you have two kids? One kid's bris is today on the 8th day, but there's another kid's bris who was supposed to have a bris earlier, but he was sick, so the bris is delayed. So now you have a Sunday morning bris. One kid was born Sunday, the bris is Sunday, and one kid was born a week and a half ago, 10 days ago, whatever. So which baby do you do first? So again, as everything else in this book, there's only two opinions. Some people say you first do the bris on time. The on-time bris goes first. And the other one says, no, the other one goes first. For whatever reason.
Whatever you do, you're right.
Whatever you do, you're right. Okay, now what happens with two kids? One's a Kohen's kid and one's a Yisrael's kid. So then it says in halacha you should do the Kohen first. Now, what happens if two kids... Okay, then they said, another opinion says that if two kids are born the same day, so you don't know which kid to do first, so you do the one that was born first. One was born 9 o'clock in the morning, one was born 11 o'clock, so you do the 9 o'clock bris first. Okay, that's that. Next is, there's a din, in fact, it's a minig, but according to many opinions, it's even biblical. Some people say it's rabbinic, you have to make a su'udah after the bris milah. What's the biblical source for this? So it says in Parshas Vayera, when Hashem did the bris for Yitzchak, later on it says, Ayas Avram Mishta Gadol, B'yayim Hi Gomel Es Yitzchak. Avram Avinu made a big party, B'yayim Hi Gomel Es Yitzchak. So the simple meaning of it, he made the party when he weaned him. Hi Gomel means mainly when they stopped nursing. That's what Rashi says. When he finished nursing, 2 years old, that's when Avram Avinu threw a big party. But the Medrash brings down that one opinion says, no, B'yayim Hi Gomel is the day he circumcised Yitzchak. How does Higomel get to Hey Gimel Mol? Hey is 5 and 3, 8, Mol. So B'yayim Higomel is Yitzchak, on the 8th day, Mol is Yitzchak when he did the bris, so he made a very big party. So according to that, some poskim want to say that making a Suda at a bris milah is biblical. Avraham Avinu did it. Some people say, no, it's only rabbinic. But anyway, there's a mitzvah to do a bris milah.
But when you have twins, it's okay to do one mitzvah.
You could do one Suda for both. The reason why, there's a rule, ein eitzim mitzvahs chavilas. You're not allowed to bundle mitzvahs together because then it looks like a burden. You have to do mitzvahs separately. Each one should have his prominence. But for the Suda, it doesn't matter. Now the question is, should people eat double? Because it's 2 bris din, you have to make sure everybody eats double. That you don't have to do.
You just have to give double gift.
You have to give double gift, correct. Okay, now it's for the father of the baby, it's like a simcha, and everybody wishes he should, grow up to Torah Chub Ma'asim Tevim. The Suda is called the Sudas Mitzvah, by the way, which applies in halacha. There are certain, in the time of the Gemara was more relevant. Time of the Gemara says there were certain amiroim of the Gemara that only ate socially at a Sudas Mitzvah. They did not eat at any other social meal if it wasn't a Sudas Mitzvah. So the question is this bris milah called a Sudas Mitzvah, that those people that would only eat at a Sudas Mitzvah would be obligated to eat? But the halacha is it is a Sudas Mitzvah. It's preferable to have a minyan at the Suda of a bris. And Shulchan Aruch also says it's appropriate to make sure you invite poor people. In fact, there's one opinion that says, even when we were discussing Vach Nacht, the night before the bris, people come over to the house and so on. So there are many people that would have a whole Suda. Nowadays, in the Satmar, those types of guys, I think they do still do it. But in most circles, they don't make a big Suda the night before the bris. But there's an argument even in halacha and poskim, is that Suda the night before the bris, is that also a Sudas Mitzvah or not? But everybody says the Suda of a bris milah is a Sudas Mitzvah. The only question is it a biblical Sudas Mitzvah or a rabbinic Sudas Mitzvah? You have the same thing on Purim. Purim is a rabbinic holiday. There's a Purim Su'udah, there's a Chiyuv min Rabbanan to have a Suda. So it's a Sudas Mitzvah, but it's a rabbinic Sudas Mitzvah, not a biblical one. Bar Mitzvah, Yam Shloimeh Bava Kama, and this to Poskim bring down. It's a famous Yam Shloimeh in Merubah, the 7th parak of Bava Kama, that brings down all the Sudas Mitzvahs that exist. He elaborates on the Mashal, the Shloimeh. So Yam Shloimeh brings down all the. So over there he says that Bar Mitzvah is a Sudas Mitzvah if it's the day of the Bar Mitzvah. And if it's not the day of the Bar Mitzvah and somebody says a Dvar Torah at the meal, then it also becomes a Sudas Mitzvah. So Bar Mitzvah is a Sudas Mitzvah if it's done on the day of the Bar Mitzvah, not a push off or, But if you say Dvar Torah, then even a pushed off Bar Mitzvah is still called Sudas Mitzvah. But the halacha is you do say, by the way, there are some people that say the bar mitzvah boy doesn't. It's based on the Zohar. The Zohar says that Rashbi told his son, when Rashbi's son, Rabbi Lazar, Rashbi's son, became bar mitzvah, he said he made a sudas, mitzvah like a wedding. So from there, some poskim want to say that it's a hint that Bais Din bar mitzvah would also be a chiyuv like that. If it's like a wedding, then b'pashtus he wouldn't say tachnun. Majority of opinions hold the bar mitzvah you say tachnun. Even the bar mitzvah boy himself says tachnun. The same thing you have opinion aben. Even though opinion aben is a very big thing, but even the father of the baby also says tachnun. The baby also says the baby doesn't say tachnun if the pinyan aben is on the 31st day. What? I said the baby on the 31st doesn't say tachlin. I said that. Yeah. That's why I said if the bris is on the 31st day, the baby also doesn't say tachlin. Okay. Machashinu zeh meiser memach reva mein kim shvla gal teira v'chanan v'kashim edot rebach zak